Hey, I'm glad you're here. In this video, we got one more system we need to build. And then this time, Warren sent us a message. This guy's name is Warren Bennett, and he runs Cashmere Capital Company. And they have, by the way, a very funny motto. He says, because nothing says cozy like a fat portfolio. How couldn't you agree with that? And in today's video, we'll be breaking down the message that he sent us, building the system, and then demoing this system to help Warren and his team fight the struggles that are facing with their contract signature process in their company. Let's get into this. All right, so the first thing is usually we're gonna dive into Warren's message and see what are the actual struggles that he's experiencing with his team. So the message goes like this. He says, "Hi Ilya, we're drowning in contracts and I wanted to ask you and your friend to help us out. So let's see how we can help. Every new investment deal means another round of chasing signatures, uploading PDFs and double checking that everyone signed. It's eating into the time we'd rather spend finding the next big opportunity," which makes total sense. "Could you build us a contract e-signing system with the tools we're currently using, HubSpot as our CRM system and DocuSign for e-signatures?" And here's what we have in mind. So this is the idea of the system that Warren shared with me. He says the trigger should be when we update a deal custom field in our HubSpot deal. The flow, it should automatically create the DocuSign envelope, pre-fill client details so they do not need to do this manually as they're doing it right now, and send it to the client and update the HubSpot record when all parties sign. So obviously all these components, all these parts of the process right now, Warren's team is doing manually. They are sending the envelope manually, they have to trigger it and they have to upload documents there. They have to pre-fill the document with all the customer information that's needed for the document. And then they also need to collect the completed document from DocuSign and probably upload it somewhere else. So he has an idea. The goal is 0 manual steps, and he wants just a tidy audit trail and happy investors. All right, so I think we can help with this, Warren and his team. He also said, if you can make this as seamless as compounding dividends, we're all in. So let's try to build the system as seamless as compounding dividends. I know you're as excited as I am, because I know we're gonna build a very cool system together with you for Warren and his team, and it's gonna work excellent. But before we build anything, let's just hold on and let's visualize and let's see if whatever we have in mind actually aligns with what Warren is expecting. So the first step, visualize all the components of the system that Warren mentioned. Let's get back to Warren's message and see in more detail. We can clearly see, and he actually stated it very, very clearly. He said, could you build a contract e-signing system with the tools we're currently using? So he mentions HubSpot as their CRM platform. They probably using it for deal tracking, their contact and their account information storing. And he also mentioned DocuSign as their platform of choice for all the e-signatures. So now we know at least 2 components of the system that Warren mentioned. But in order for us to move data in between the tools, there is the third component that Warren is not aware about, and we're gonna visualize it in just a second. Let's have a look at the very simple visual. Again, this is something that we're gonna present to Warren, and we're mentioning here the 2 platforms that he mentioned in his message. He mentioned DocuSign, which is the e-signature software, and he mentioned HubSpot as their record management software. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is gonna be the integration platform that will allow us to move data between these platforms seamlessly, as he said, seamlessly as compounding dividends. These are all the components for the systems that we're trying to build, and it aligns with what Warren is asking. So now, again, before we jump straight into the development, let's visualize all the functionalities that system is going to be performing for Warren's team and make sure that that aligns with what Warren and his team are expecting. All right, so as we're breaking down the system for Warren, these are the 3 functionalities or functional requirements that are aligning with what Warren and his team are asking us to develop. So let's see what we have here. In order for someone to sign the contract that they're going to be receiving, we need first to send it or to generate it. So the first thing is going to be trigger sending of the envelope or DocuSign envelope. And again, the data flows from HubSpot CRM platform, because that's going to be the platform from where we're triggering everything. And that's going to be sort of like a single source of truth for Warren's team through their whole process. And then the data flows into DocuSign. It generates a new envelope. It substitutes the data that they have for their clients inside HubSpot in the DocuSign envelope, and it sends the envelope to the recipient. And then the data flows back into HubSpot, updating the opportunity or the deal record in HubSpot CRM. This way, the user knows exactly whether the automation works successfully or not. If it works successfully, they can just relax and wait for the signatures to come through. And if there is some error, they can reach out to technical team to help troubleshoot the error. Now, as we move on, the second functionality is going to be trigger resending of the envelope. If you remember in Warren's message, he said that he does not only want people to sign the documents, but he also wants to send the reminders to people who forgot to sign. So this is why we have this functionality, as we want to enable Warren's team to follow up with people without any need for them to put together emails manually or sending emails from their inboxes. It should be very seamless. And in this case, as we're triggering this automation, again, because we want to keep it seamless, we are trying to keep all the triggers from within HubSpot CRM. So the data comes from HubSpot CRM, flows into DocuSign. In DocuSign, we need to find the envelope that we already created for that recipient. At this point, we know that the envelope was sent to the recipient, so there is no need to recreate the envelope. We're just finding the envelope that already exists, and we're resending that envelope to our customer. And again, as the final step, the data gets updated back in our HubSpot deal to let the user or the person who sends or resends the envelope know that the automation worked successfully. And the last piece of the functionality that we're going to be building is obviously when someone signs the document. So as the document goes to the person, we might want to resend the document one more time to remind them that they need to sign. But the third piece is when they sign the envelope, DocuSign envelope that they received, we upload the completed document into the HubSpot deal. Again, we want to make sure that all the updates are flowing back into HubSpot. So the team, Warren's team, doesn't need to go and switch back and forth between DocuSign and HubSpot, and then they can have all their information in a single place in HubSpot. And then we're also updating the deal record. Obviously, we want to send a message, tell the user that the documents were completed successfully, and probably update the status of the automation inside HubSpot CRM. Again, just to communicate that everything worked fine and we have the final document inside our HubSpot CRM deal. By laying out all these functionalities, we're in agreement that this aligns with what he was expecting and his team was expecting. So now we're going to the next and the most fun part is building and demoing the system to Warren and his team. So let's get into it. All right, so now comes the most fun part that we all like, is actually demoing and testing the system that we've built for Warren. We agreed on all the functionalities and all the components of the system during our previous steps. Now let's have fun and let's actually test the system. First thing we have is our HubSpot account. Now this is the HubSpot account where we have different stages. So this is the deal page inside HubSpot. We have different stages for these deals. And as you can see, we just have 2 test deals that we're going to be using during this demo. What we also have is we have the DocuSign template that we're going to be using to recreate that envelope for every single contact to whom we're going to be sending this contract. So let's see this quick template over here. It's quite simple. This is the document Warren shared with me. And again, it's a simple demo contract. So we can test the system. It just has 2 signers in this example. And this is the information that we're going to need to pre-fill for every single client. So again, if you remember, Warren in his message mentioned that his team is currently pre-filling all that information manually. We're going to help them pre-fill that automatically and also send the envelope automatically to the recipients. So the company information, Warren's company stays the same, and we're also going to have 2 signatures here at the bottom. All right, so as we have these 2 things set up, let's dive into testing of the system and go through the step-by-step process of how Warren's team is going to be using this system. Let's get back to our HubSpot. We're going to go and we're going to open the office renovation. Now here on the left hand side, what we did is we created a couple of custom fields to, first of all, trigger the automation, and second of all, automation to communicate with the user in HubSpot. So let me show you how it works. First, we're going to use the trigger contract sending and switch it to yes. As soon as we do this, in a couple of seconds, we should receive the updated contract automation status, and the automation should also communicate to us that the contract was successfully sent to the contact. Now, as you can see on the right hand right-hand side, this is the contact that we have linked. It has my email and my name, and it also has the company linked to the deal. So this is from where we're going to be grabbing all that information that is missing in the contract, and we'll be pre-filling their address, and I think it also business name that we need to pre-fill in that envelope. While we're waiting for the envelope to be sent, let me actually take you to the Zapier part and show you how that automation and how that Zap works on the back end as we're waiting for the envelope to come through. So over here, you can see a simple Zap. It's actually not that simple, but still, what it does is it basically gets the information about the deal from HubSpot. It finds all the associations, meaning it gets the company information, the address and the name that we need to pre-fill, and it also gets the contact information, their name and the email address where we're sending the envelope. And over here, you can see the path A, which basically corresponds to us sending the new envelope to the person. So it updates the deal information. As we're gonna see in a second, it will update the status, update the time, and also update the details of the automation. And it actually sends, pre-fills and sends the envelope to the contact. And again, just finalizes the automation with updating the deal and making sure that everything worked fine and there are no errors in this automation. So let's get back to HubSpot and see how it updated over there. All right, as we were reviewing the Zap, it actually updated the status. So over here, you can see the contract automation status is changed to sent. It updates the time and date when this record was last processed, and it also adds the DocuSign envelope ID, again, which might not be useful to the end user, but is extremely useful to the automation so that we know which envelope in DocuSign corresponds which deal in HubSpot. And if it was sent, let's get to my inbox and see how it looks from there. All right, so this is going to be the email. As you can see, I received it, and because this is the DocuSign demo account, it says this is for demonstration purposes only. When Warren and his team is going to be using, this will not be there. But we have Ilya Shevchenko sent you a document to review and sign. So let's now click the link over here, and it's going to take us to DocuSign page, and let's make sure that all the fields get pre-filled correctly from HubSpot. So as we open the document, we can see that first the business name gets pre-filled and it says Acme Corp. Again, exactly what we have in HubSpot. It tells me the customer name, which is Ilya Shevchenko. It also tells the customer address, which we also have in our HubSpot. So if we go in our HubSpot, I just want to show you that it works fine. We have, first of all, the company name here, and second, we have the street address, city, state, and postal code. Now, all that information gets pre-filled over here, and Warren's team doesn't need to go and pre-fill these values manually for every single deal that they're closing. Now, in this case, we have the signature box over here, but before signing, I want to imagine that I forgot to sign this email. You know, obviously, it happens sometimes. You know, you just open the contract, you read through the contract, but you forgot to sign. So let's resend envelope to the contact and see how it looks from within HubSpot and also inside DocuSign. All right, getting back to our HubSpot deal, we're gonna click on the back. Actually, we need to switch over here to our deals. We're gonna open our deal over here, and you can see as soon as we send the contract, the stage of the deal just changed to contract sent. So when we open the deal, we need to go back here. In order to resend the envelope, we don't need to create a new envelope. We just need to click on the trigger and say yes. So in a couple of seconds, it should change the status to resend, and we should get a new email in our inbox with the same envelope. As we're waiting for this to work and go through, let's get to Zapier, and I'll show you how the resend functionality works from there. All right, we already looked at this scenario over here. We get the details about the deal, we find all the associations, we get the company information and the contact information. But in this case, we're not creating the envelope. We're using the existing envelope inside DocuSign, and we're just resending it to the same contact. So this is why we have the path B over here. It just does a different action. It resends the envelope, and then it obviously updates the deal and communicates back to us that the envelope was successfully resent. Right, meanwhile, in HubSpot, it updated the status. You can see now over here, we have the contract automation status marked resent, and it updated the details, the contract automation details to contract successfully resent. What it also does, and I forgot to show you on the previous step, it also adds the notes so that Warren's team can easily see and track all the updates and all the timelines for every specific deal. Now, let's hop to my inbox and see what we have in there. All right, I just received this one. So this is the second envelope. You can see the first one was sent 11:54. The second we just said that it was sent 11:58. This is exactly what we have over here. Now the envelope did not change, right? So we have the same values pre-filled in here, but this way we're reminding people that, hey, you need to sign this contract. So let's just do it. Let's click on sign, and let me just put my signature here. I'm gonna click complete. So this way, as we sign the document, I mentioned at the beginning there are two signers of the envelope. The second signer will be actually Warren himself. So in this case, I'll play Warren's role and I'll countersign the envelope. And as soon as we do that, we should be receiving the completed document in HubSpot. So let me do that quickly, and then let's review how the document gets sent and saved inside our HubSpot deal. Perfect. We just countersigned the envelope, and now we're waiting for the document to come through. Now, it takes a couple of seconds or even a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, let me show you the Zap that actually does all of that. So what happens is Zapier gets triggered as soon as the envelope is completed inside DocuSign. So this is the first step we have here. The envelope is completed, we receive the completed document, the completed PDF version of the contract, and we can upload it to HubSpot. This is what we do over here. Then we need to link our HubSpot and our contract that we uploaded to HubSpot together. So this way we're finding the deal that relates to that specific envelope that we just received, and we're updating the deal. Again, we're updating the status, we're updating the date and time when it was last processed, and we make sure that the correct PDF file gets linked to the correct deal inside HubSpot. Now let's go back to HubSpot and see how it looks with this specific example. This is how it looks. It actually changed the status to completed. You can see it over here. It mentioned in the details successfully signed by all recipients, and you can see over here in the activity box, it also says successfully signed by all recipients. Perfect. In both places, it shows the same data. And as you can see, the time, the date and time is 12:02, is the same as we see over here, and it's the same as we probably received the notification inside Zapier. The coolest thing, as we scroll down over here inside our deal in HubSpot, we can see the DocuSign envelope file. This is very, very easy to access. You just simply click the link and you see the completed document with all the information to remember that we pre-filled for the company, for the contact, with both signatures in place, and it looks really, really nice, really professional, and very easy to find inside HubSpot. So Warren's team is gonna be just thrilled with that. At this point, we've done everything that was required from our end, right? The system worked great. It first of all sent the document for signature, it resent the document, and it also uploaded the completed document back to HubSpot. So now Warren's team can use this completed document to move their clients and their deals through the rest of their process. Warren texted me and said that he and his team just love the system. They are already using it, and it's as seamless as compounding dividends. So we've done a great work. Give me knuckles. All right, and I'll be seeing you in the next video as we're building the new cool system for the next use case together. Have a good day.